Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Gaps and Gains. I'm Pieter de Villiers, and in these episodes, I like to answer some questions that I've come across. Some I've been asked, others I've seen people ask online, and share my answers with you, and we can all learn together. So let's get straight to it. The first question is, through the years of running my business, I've tried to invest in software to help me run the business. I seem to always end up with software that doesn't quite do what I need or doesn't allow my team to work the way they want to. Where am I going wrong? So I think that there's two things to think about in this question for me. The bit that concerns me is about it doesn't allow your team to work the way they want to. We all have ways we want to work, but the only output measurement that's really that important is the experience your customer is having at the end of the day. You're running a business. You're not, the focus of your business is not 100% on the environment that you create for your staff. Now, I'm not saying don't care about the people who work with you, but the focus has to be on the experience that you're giving to your customers and that the service that you deliver and everything that goes with that. So not being happy with the software or the tools that you choose because it doesn't allow your team to work the way they want to work. If the software is delivering the right things, then in that scenario, the team just have to adjust. They have to change the way they work and understand that the focus is what the prospect and the customer experiences. And if the tools allow you to deliver the experience you want, the experience that you want your customers and your prospects to have, then the tool is the right tool. And everyone can work around that and just accept that the way they work has changed. The other side is software that doesn't quite do what you need it to do. Now, with large software platforms, you always run the risk, sort of two sides to the same coin. On the one hand, it does 150 things and you only need 30 of those. And that can seem like a problem. Now, depending on the billing structure for the software, that may or may not be an issue. So as an example, we do a lot of our work with Go High Level, which has loads of tools in it, lots of flexibility, but you, by and large, only pay for what you use. There's a base package that you pay for, but then, for example, you pay a certain amount for, sending a certain amount of emails. You pay for sending 10,000 emails, for example. Now, if you only send 500 emails a month, you might think, oh, I'm getting ripped off here. But the reality is the cost of the email package is very small. And then, of course, a software package like Go High Level does a lot of other things as well, but if you don't use it, you don't pay for it. So if you don't use the WhatsApp integration, you don't pay for the WhatsApp. It's there, it's available, but unless you activate it, your bill doesn't go up because those things are there. So that's one sort of avenue of solving that problem. The other is that it's just the wrong tool, and therefore it doesn't do what you need. Now, what I see very often is the tool is chosen because someone recommends the tool, rather than the tool is chosen because you've determined you want to achieve X and this tool can help you achieve X. So in that scenario, I'd say you really want to look at how you come to choose the software that you're using. So for instance, a tool that I absolutely love for project management is Basecamp, which is made by the guys at 37 Signals, and some people love it and some people hate it. Now, there's an awful lot that it doesn't do, but I just don't. The bits that it doesn't do, I don't care for, and I don't miss it, and it doesn't help me. Not having those things isn't a problem for the way that I tend to run projects and the way we tend to work. So you just need to choose the right tool in that scenario, but it's important that you know what you're trying to achieve to begin with. Because I can say to you, oh, Basecamp is great for project management, but that doesn't mean Basecamp is great for managing the projects in your business. it's worth you exploring both the tool and also exploring what's happening inside your business. How do you run it? How do you need to run projects in order to deliver the best experience for your customer? Is it still the right tool? Something else like Asana or ClickUp or whatever might be a better tool for you. Whereas for me personally, I've tried those and it just doesn't work for me. There's just things that it doesn't do that I need it to do, and things that I don't like about it. So the best thing I can say is make sure you're clear on what you're trying to achieve, and then just try lots of things. And don't try lots of things with your team. Try it by yourself and make sure you have a checklist of, okay, these are the non-negotiables that the tool needs to deliver. And then these are the nice to haves, and these other bits is, hey, if it's there, great, it's bells and whistles, but if it's not going to make a difference to our business. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Somewhat related here, what is the highest priority when building my business? Process, people, or technology? I'd say people, providing those people are your prospects and customers. They should be their experience should be your highest priority between those. Now, people in your business, the processes in your business, and then the technology that you choose. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily in a hierarchy. I think it's more of a pyramid, and at the top of that pyramid sits your processes and your clarity about the processes. And those processes are supported at the base of the pyramid by your people and your technology that you use. And of course, the people will be using that technology, but it's all in aid of delivering this process and managing this process, which you then know delivers for your prospects and customers for that. So you'd also always want to start with, okay, what is the process? And try not to get bogged down in, well, there is this massive process, because your business in reality is made up out of lots of little events, lots of little processes, and they have to hand off to each other and run smoothly from one to the next. But don't get overwhelmed thinking it's this massive thing. So you think of every process, okay, we've got this process, and here are the people and the technology that supports that process. And then you plan it that way. And you may find one piece of technology that supports loads of your processes. It's very unlikely you will find one piece of technology that will support all your processes. And it's also very unlikely you'll find one person who can do all of that. And that's why you have multiple people in your business, aided by the technology to deliver that process for your prospects. So try and think of these things as a pyramid, and the people and technology supporting the process rather than higher priorities from that perspective. Moving on to question 3. My business is fairly new and I've not defined my processes yet, but I need some type of CRM to help run the business. How do I solve this chicken and egg situation? So I would say in this instance, just pick one. It almost doesn't matter which one. Pick a cheap one and just start using it, because until you start using something, you won't know what you don't know. You won't know what it can or can't do. And you also, especially new business, you don't have your processes defined yet. You don't want to spend ages building complex automations and things like that to only find 3 weeks later, well, actually, that's not quite right. That's not what we want to do. And then you go and rebuild. Now, having said that, you have to, from the outset, you will serve yourself very well if from the outset you accept that building the automations and the processes and the systems in your business is an ongoing iterative process. It is never finished. So I'll give you an example. At the moment, I'm busy building some automations and stuff for our business. We're exhibiting at a convention in September, big event. So I'm building the lead management, the leads we generate from that event, and then what happens to them after the event, and the automations and everything for that. Now, next time we do an exhibition, I can use that as a structure and a template, and what we learn from what works and what doesn't, to then build for the next exhibition, a next event that we might exhibit at. But it's not that I build one and then just try and run the same thing over and over. The same with any process in your business. You will find, okay, you've built this little machine that works really well, but next time you need to use the machine, or something changes in the business, or maybe you grow and now you've got more people in the business, or you serve a different kind of client, you then need to change the process. So I'd say if it's very early days for you, it almost doesn't matter what you pick. Just pick something and start using it so that you can get your training wheels on. You start learning how these things work, and then from there you can then learn more and develop and make choices. Obviously I would recommend go high level, because it's easy to start with. Yes, there's a lot there, but you don't have to use it all, but it's really flexible and therefore can change and can grow and can expand as your business needs to, without you getting overwhelmed by having this massive thing right from day one. So I hope that's helpful. Question 4. How do I know if my business is ready to start automating? Can I start small, or is it all or nothing? So I'd say the fact that you have started a business is indication that your business is ready to start automating. There's always something, no matter how early the day it is for you, and no matter how small your business is, how new you are to this, there are things you can automate that'll make life a lot easier for you. So let's think about the most basic automation you can put in place. I'm going to assume you have a website. Someone inquires on your website. Simple automation, an email to them saying, hey, thanks, we got your inquiry, we'll be in touch in the next hour. And then an email to you saying, hey, you've got a new inquiry, you have to get in touch with them within the next hour. That's it. There's a simple automation. Now, you can't use that automation if you don't have a website. So let's say your business needs to at least have a website in order to start using this type of thing. But you can also use things with WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger and things like that. So it just depends on where you really are. But even though you don't have things mapped out necessarily and it's still early days, you've got a small automation, and therefore your business is ready to automate. And the sooner you start, and the sooner you start getting the benefits, you take a little bite out of potential overwhelm every day or every week in your business, and you'll soon find that actually the business has grown and the business has developed far beyond what you thought it might, and you've now got stuff in place that's helping you. And it also trains you to rely on the automation and to trust it so that you can focus on the bits that you're really good at and the stuff that's really important that you do it. So in our simple example, an inquiry comes in and a response goes out acknowledging that inquiry. What the prospect wants is to know that their inquiry didn't just end up in a black hole somewhere. And what you want is for every inquiry to get an immediate response. That doesn't mean you have to be the one to give that immediate response and acknowledgement. It's then upon you to, if you say you're going to get in touch within an hour, to make sure you get in touch within an hour. But you can start building those things, and you can see actually the confirmation doesn't have to be you. The getting in touch within an hour has to be you or someone on your team, depending on whether you have a team or not. So I would start right away. Start on day one. Don't make it a distraction. Instead of getting leads and getting the work done, don't tinker about with automations just because it's fun. Because it's a lot of fun. It's really cool to see this stuff work, but the focus is still on, hey, you got to build a business, you got to generate leads. Otherwise, if no one's buying, there is no business. And then you've got this beautiful automation that's doing nothing for nobody. And last question, what are the most common automation mistakes that make things worse instead of better? I would say waiting too long, and aligned with, or goes hand in hand with that, is waiting too long and then trying to build this massive automation. Okay, so you can think of automation not just how you plan, but also how you execute them as recipes and the steps in recipes. So going back to the example I used about I'm building stuff for this exhibition. Now you can think of, okay, well, we're going to generate leads at the exhibition. We're running a competition. So we're going to generate leads at the exhibition, competition entries. Then we're going to select the winner, announce the winner, second prize, runner-ups, those kind of things, and then follow up. And we need the winners to book a call with us so that we can discuss delivering what they've won, that kind of scenario. So you can see how you can think that can get complicated quite quickly. But actually, even though I've been doing this for over a decade, I don't think about the whole thing. I sketch out, okay, we've got entries, we've got the winners, we want to follow up, and the like. But then I say, okay, let's start with the entries. Now we're using a QR code that takes you to a landing page. You fill that in, you get into the CRM, and you're tagged as a competition entry. That's it. It stops there. Okay, so build that, make sure that works. Now the way I do it is there's a landing page with guff on it. It's not a finished landing page, but it has the form and the QR code points to it, and then, okay, they're in the CRM, they're tagged as being a competition entry. That's what I need. Okay. Now that they are in as a competition entry, we're actually doing a two-step entry. So you enter your details, and then we ask for additional details. So I need to give you follow-up to get you to take step 2. Okay, so that's a separate automation that I build and that I think about. And then once you've got step 2, then I confirm to you that, great, you're on the list, and we'll be choosing the winner on the date and time that we'll be choosing the winner. And then I go, okay, now I need to announce the winner. And I both need to announce it to everyone in the competition, but I also need to tell the winner that they've won. So that's a little piece. So you can see how breaking these down, I'm never building anything big. I'm only building something small, and then another something small, and another something small. And I think trying to build really complex things that you struggle 3 weeks, 3 months from now to actually understand, well, what did I build? What's actually happening here? And it's this big mess, and it's spaghetti junction. That's a big mistake to make. And I think those things, not starting soon enough and then trying to build really big things. And at the end of the day, this whole competition entry, selecting the winner, announcing the winners, the follow-up, the booking of the calls and everything, these things can seem like a big thing, but they're all individual building blocks. And I only ever focus on building those individual building blocks. And it's the same with it's similar to how you build software. You actually code little pieces at a time. You don't do this massive thing and then try and run it and hope it all works. It's all made out of essentially small Lego blocks or small components that you then join together for that. So I'd say, don't leave it too late, and don't approach it as this massive thing that you're building. It's always just small components that hand details off from one step to the next. So that can keep it quite simple, and it means when you go back to reference it, you're only ever looking at small pieces, and it's much easier to keep track of. So I hope that's been helpful. As I said, I'm Pieter K. de Villiers, Blind Spot Works, and thanks for joining me, and hopefully you'll be here next week for Gaps and Gains. So find the gaps, fix the business.